The State of Crypto is presented by Tron, connecting the world to the power of cryptocurrency.
Not only is it time for my landscapers to do the lawn in the back here, it's also time for CoinDesk Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who's also the editor of CoinDesk absolute must-read State of Crypto newsletter. The gardeners have finished their copy today very early, and they've gotten to work since. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. Your gardeners have been much more on time than I have this week.
Yeah. So Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong says they'll continue Coinbase will continue its staking service, even though they're facing a lawsuit from regulators, including federal regulators. What's his argument here?
Yeah, this is honestly kind of fascinating to me. So the SEC has sued Coinbase, and the staking program is part of it. Sure, completely, that's happened. What's really interesting to me is that there's also 10 state regulators. Some of them have asked for an immediate cease and desist or desist and refrain order to stop Coinbase from offering the staking program. So the fact that, CEO Armstrong seems to think that, they have a legitimate argument that this is not a violation of securities law and that they do not plan to shutter the program at all is kind of fascinating to me. It's, it's really throwing the gauntlet in the face of all these regulators who, again, 10 state regulators, some of them are giving them a couple of days or a couple of weeks to respond, but many of them have asked for this immediate, cease and desist.
Let's move over to Binance here. There's already some important dates when it comes to the SEC filing a temporary restraining order. What's coming up for Binance as we follow these two cases that came one after the other?
Yeah, so June 12th, Binance has a deadline to respond to the SEC's application for a temporary restraining order. That is Monday. On June 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern, which coincidentally is the same time the House Financial Services Committee is holding a hearing on crypto, there will be a hearing in the D.C. District Court on the application for a temporary restraining order. And, again, just to recap, this is the application the SEC made to try and freeze Binance U.S. assets until such a time that Binance Global and its management, namely CZ, are no longer able to access these funds.
Nick, we spoke about it at the top of the show, and we have to get your opinion in here. What do you make of these allegations that Gary Gensler once offered to advise Binance? Should he recuse himself from that case, as Binance's lawyers are saying?
I'll take them as two parts, right? The first part is the connections between Binance and CZ. And I would say that, if you're a regulator, you probably have a different view than if you are not a regulator. So Gary Gensler, as an MIT professor, probably has a different view on Binance's operations in 2018 or 2019 than he does as the chair of the SEC in 2023. Some of the allegations that we're seeing as well, in the Binance lawsuit are, conduct that happened over the last 2 years. Allegations that Binance US was spun up as a way to give Binance Global access to customer funds from Binance US or from the US. So those are more recent allegations. As far as the recusal aspect goes, I think that would have to depend on just how involved Chair Gensler was in Binance's operations. If he has inside information or close personal friendship or something, then maybe. But it sounds like he had a couple meals and offered to advise them on the regulatory structure, which at the time, he said was uncertain. And I think, arguably, I think one of the arguments that exchanges are making now is that it's still uncertain and just as uncertain. But that's, kind of, it's a different question, right? Then that part specifically doesn't lead to a recusal question, I think.
All right. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Nick, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
That was CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com.